All right, this is probably our second to last garden tour of 2017. It is the 30th of September 2017. Let's go for a little look. Sorry about the shade, I know that makes things difficult, but the apple trees and the peach trees and the pear trees for the most part did well. This peach tree here in particular looks so good. The only tree that looks like it didn't make it is this Golden Delicious. So I will have to get a new one in the spring so that it matches the vitality of the rest of them. Like you can see this apple. This looks really good. Here's the garden. We have been picking and picking. We got so much from it. First, before we go in, let's go along the border. Most days for me consist of going and taking a look at what raspberries there are to pick, because there will still be lots of raspberries for a time being. And all of these were first-year transplants. So the fact that they bore fruit and transplanted well is good. These are the Egyptian walking onions, and I harvested a ton of them. And you can see these are fresh shoots in amongst the early shoots to come up. So they are still nice and hardy. In here are my ground cherries, and they've fallen over. They get flaccid this time of year, that's okay. But if I jump the fence and come on in, you can see that plenty of them have just dropped. So like if I take this one on the ground here, you see its shell is kind of just desiccated away, but there's some delicious fruit. So what I'm gonna do, maybe later today, is I'm gonna come and cut these down just a couple inches above the ground and rake up the ground cherries, and that'll be the end of them for the season. So this here, oh, I know it's tough to see with the sun and the shadow. This is my gooseberry bush, and the bush is kind of thin at this point. I know the sun is just terrible, sorry. I think next year if I trim it, it'll look good. Right now the sun does not do justice. I'll just move on to the next thing. Here again, more raspberries. So we've been picking them non-stop, and as you can see, I can pretty much zoom in anywhere and there are raspberries to pick. That's wonderful. The rhubarb down here, I could probably just cut off those few remaining stalks, maybe make a little jam, maybe a pie, maybe a rhubarb raspberry pie. That sounds kind of good. Either way, that's done for the year. And these, all the things that were here have been done for a while now. This is all the pumpkins and the squash, and 2 kinds of squash, and the decorative gourds. I got 48 decorative gourds. Pretty amazing. Recently, I did an interrupted live stream, but I picked all the sweet potatoes that were here. I got tons. I should have weighed them. I know it's well over 5 or 6 pounds. It's a big barrel full, so I'll be doing that again next year without a doubt. Since the last tour, we pulled all the peppers. They were pretty much done producing, so having learned from years past, they're not going to get much bigger. It's about mid-60s today, so it's not going to get any warmer than this to have a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. The tomatoes are still tomatoing. You see, like, these greenies here, I'm just shocked. They're still making tomatoes and they haven't necessarily ripened. I've been picking them as they ripen though. Did I have a red one in here? I have. There, you can kind of see that's about to be ripened in the next couple of days. But then we've got some very nice looking green ones here still. So later than I would have expected. This right here with my shadow on it, hello. This is a Brussels sprout plant that was planted in the shade. And it was kind of an experiment, and as you can see, it really doesn't produce any Brussels sprouts. Now here, let me weigh in, and you can sort of see there are some very, very tiny ones. These are smaller than marbles. Let's go over here into the sun. Or the Brussels sprouts are pretty much the only remaining thing in this section. And you can see vastly different. These are very big. The ones in the bottom are as big as golf balls. Small golf balls, admittedly. And everything else looks like a normal Brussels sprout would. So I can pick some of these. Cauliflower's been gone for a while now. We've harvested 3 of the heads of celery, and they look great. So we've been doing them in soups and stuff. There's what the celery looks like. No, I didn't blanch it, so it's more green, but it tastes great. I won't be doing Swiss chard again. You know, we just don't use it. So it's a colorful accent for the garden, that's about it. And here is the monster kale that came from one plant that survived the winter and just went gangbusters, and it's very good. So if I can save a section of this over the winter, I'm going to, because that's more than enough for what we need. I've harvested one of my two watermelon, or one watermelon so far. Here's another one. That's as big as they are. They're very nice and red on the inside. And of course the beans are all well past their prime. They're nice and dry for the ones that I want to save. This is good seed saving beans. Otherwise these were beautiful again. So now we get to go out the gate that we didn't even go in. Open up my latch. Whee! So thank you for coming along for the 2017 year. It was a great gardening year. And we're going to have one more garden tour yet after I spade things up and whatnot. But I'll give you a heads up for some of the things that I'm thinking next year. Next year, in the shape of the arch here, I expect to have probably cattle panel going almost all the way back. And that's where I'm going to be growing up my beans and cucumbers and squash. So you're going to be going in this arched fauna greenway, which should be pretty cool, or floral greenway. The raspberries, I'll have so that's actually a trellis back there. I'll be making trellis for choo all the way up here. And this section here is pretty much going to stay the same. The raspberries are established. I might move the onions. The ground cherries are established. Don't need to monkey with them. The gooseberry, assuming that does something next year. Zoom in past the... Yeah, I can't really tell. Anyways, I assume the gooseberry will do something after I prune it in year 3. Otherwise it gets the axe. So this is going to be good. And then I may in October or November hopefully build one large raised bed to put here. More to come on that in the future. But this was just such a wonderful year. I so much enjoyed planting my fruit trees. This is a Bartlett pear. You can see this took very nicely. Again, here's that peach. You know, assuming this one overwinters wonderfully, I expect this to be probably 8 feet by the middle of next summer. And again, hopefully I can just get a good Granny Smith apple to replace this, and it'll be as good looking as this Macintosh apple. So, is your garden done with for the year? What was your favorite and most exciting thing to grow? Let me know in the comments section below. I know I haven't been posting a whole lot lately. I've been really busy with grad school, and work has just taken up more time than it used to. And I come home and I'm pretty exhausted, so that's okay. We'll be getting into woodworking again awfully soon as we get ready for making holiday gifts and the like. So leave me a message, let me know you're still watching. It's good to hear from you. And next month is October, so happy October, happy fall everybody. Happy gardening.